Hello and welcome to My Woolly PhD. My name's Liz Scarf and this is a weekly vlog sharing what I'm currently learning and making in my anthropology PhD, all about wool. It's the first episode, so I'm at the start. I'm at the day 5, the end of my first official week, and you can find a brief overview of the research project in, I made an introductory video, so if you haven't checked that out, go check it out if you kind of want to understand more about all the moving parts. And let's get stuck into what I've been, what's been going on this week. So sheep is what's been going on this week. I've been reading all about sheep and oh my goodness, I've been shocked. Anyway, I'm running through what I've been reading first, and then I'm going to go through some of the things that were just kind of really shocking to me. So here I've been reading A Short History of the World According to Sheep by Sally Coulthard. And I have been reading Sheep by Phillip Armstrong. There's a really beautiful picture of a sheep just in the front, if I can find it. If you can see, so gorgeous. Anyway, I'm going to cut that out and put it up on a wall. I never cut things out of books, but that's happening. The sheep people. So this is the Ontology of Making Lives, Building Homes and Forging Herds in Early Bronze Age Norway by Kristin, Armstrong, and this is really cool. It's an archaeology book, but yeah, really, really cool. And then articles. I've been reading Till Death Do Us Part, Long-Lasting Bonds Between Ewes and Their Daughters by Thelma Rowell, and this is just like a very short one, but Thelma's done this amazing work. She's an ethnologist, so she studies animal behaviour. Done amazing work with sheep. Sheep Shaped, also by Philip Armstrong, same as that book Sheep. And this is my favourite title, Cosmoecological Sheep and the Arts of Living on a Damaged Planet by Vinciane Despret. Now, had I known I was going to have to say French philosophers' words in public, I'm not sure I would have started this video series, but I'm all in now. Oh no, that's do it again. Vinciane Despret and Michel, Meuret. And another one by Vinciane Despret is Sheep Do Have Opinions, and she's particularly writing about Thelma Rowell's work there. Anyway, but what did I discover that was so exciting? Well, I reckon I was about 2 new sort of factoids in when I just had this amazing epiphany. I was like, I don't know anything about sheep. And if I don't know anything about sheep, I don't know anything about cows or chickens or pigs or ducks or elephants. Like, I don't know anything about anything. And I was just kind of like, wow, I'm like middle-aged, realising I don't know about anything in any kind of real depth. Like, I was thinking about this ethnologist, Thelma Rowell, who's just like sitting there watching sheep like for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Just went, wow, that's really getting to know something. Anyway, it sounds like it should have been like a very lowering thought, but it was very awe-inspiring and a little bit kind of semi-ecstatic as a state for a moment. And yeah, and I just kind of thought, wow, how exciting and how lucky I am to be in a PhD where I can actually and go, okay, I want to really learn something about wool or together with wool, right? You don't just watch the world and learn something, you kind of co-generate knowledge together with the world. So I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, I got to check my notes, keep on track. What did I actually learn that was so cool? In a nutshell, basically that sheep are nowhere near as stupid as they have been stereotyped as, and they're pretty gay. That's pretty exciting. So along with hyenas and dolphins and elephants, sheep can be considered as honorary primates. Because of how smart they are, how organised they are, and how social they are. And when sheep are given the opportunity to self-govern, they're a matriarchal society. I did not know this. The oldest ewe is actually the leader. Not just the oldest, right? She also has to be what they call like an elder stateswoman, and she gets this role mostly really by just taking very good care of her young without any violence. And so as the leader, she kind of decides where and when the flock will go. Of course, this is with flocks who've got the freedom to move and graze. And this is one part of why sheep have not been well understood, is because the conditions in which they've been studied don't give them enough opportunity to be themselves and to self-organise. They've been too constrained by the conditions in which they are observed in. Anyway, that's a whole rant about why sheep are so ignored. I've got a whole bunch of other things to say there, but let me stick with what's also very exciting about them. So the bonds between ewes and their children, the lambs, it's the most central bond, most organising bond in their social system, and ewes and their daughters will often stay connected across their whole lifespan if they've got the opportunity to, or for many, many years. And this is so cool. Sheep sheep are part of the animal group called bovids, and one of the defining features is they've got a split hoof. Like, so horses have got all one kind of hoof. Bovids have got a little split here, right? In the split, sheep have got scent glands. So when they're walking, they're like leaving little smells behind so their friends can follow them, because they all smell a little bit different. So they can track each other by smelling the ground from where their flock mates have walked. That is so clever. Not all bovids have it. Some do, goats don't. Just amazing. This one, next one as well. Honestly. Sheep's capacity for facial recognition is off the charts. It's up there with other primates, better than dogs. So there's a study where sheep are shown faces of other sheep, photographs, and they're able to remember them, even when later they were shown side profile photographs which they were not originally shown, up to 2 years later. Like 2 years. I'm not sure I could be shown a bunch of faces, photographs of faces, and remember them 2 years later. Maybe, but that's pretty good. But it does show that sheep have got, same along with primates, an area of the brain that is specifically for encoding faces. Which, and we think about, well, why is that? Why is it important to be able to remember faces? Because of social bonds, of course. It's recognising who you know, who you like and who you don't like. Sheep develop bonds together where they have friends who they like and they have other people in the flock who they don't like, and and they have some colleagues who they trust, some who they don't, right? They actually have really complex social bonding things. It's really sweet. It's really, really sweet. Onto the gayness, which is probably what we're all waiting to hear about. Now, I haven't read anything that talks about this as the case across all sheep. So I've got to take a step back. So on one, how many different kinds of sheep are there? So there's this idea that there's like 5 main species, right? And there's 4 wild and 1 domesticated species. But what the main criteria for a species is that they can't interbreed successfully so that their progeny will be able to then also successfully breed. And that's not the case. Some of them can and do. So anyway, whether there's 5 species or they're all 1 species or something, I don't really know, and I haven't really read that far enough. I'm not sure how much it's relevant to my research. But this research about the gayness of sheep has just been on bighorn rams in North America, and bighorns are a wild sheep, whether they're a species or not, I don't know. So from about the age of 5 or 6 years, the little fellas form their own social groups, and they just go on their merry way, hanging out just with the boys for all the year except for breeding time, right? So they live in these basically male-only groups, and they have a lot of sex with each other throughout the year. And that can be in pairs, in groups of 3 to 10. So they're not just gay, they also like group sex. That's very cool. But even in breeding season, when they're hanging out with the ladies, 1/4 of the male sexual activity will still be with each other. There's so many things about this that really challenge very Western patriarchal ideas about why animals have sex and why animals do anything, why they expend any energy beyond very pragmatic things about getting food, staying safe, and reproducing. So, animals have been studied so mechanistically in a way for a really long time. The ideas that they might be playful, they might have social bonds, they might have sex because it's fun and enjoyable, all kinds of things where it's kind of been neglected. But they've also observed these sheep is that they have very affectionate bonds, like they really kind of care for each other in a very sweet with each other as well. So the sex can't be sort of reduced to dominance. It certainly can't be reduced to reproduction. So it's just something that really points to, I don't know, again, complex and sophisticated social connections. And we have to say, like, affective feeling experiences too, right? Which we often just don't tend to afford animals that aren't really, really like us, like primates, or even dogs get questioned, right? Is it really happy? Is it really, like, how performative are dogs' emotions? I don't subscribe to this, but anyway, sheep have also got, this is also sweet. I just came out of this just going, oh my goodness, sheep are the sweetest things. I'm sure that's not the whole story. I'm sure they can be total jerks too. But they have incredible spatial intelligence, and many sheep species form very strong bonds to place, and they get homesick when they're made to leave. They get miserable. I don't know if you imagine a miserable homesick sheep. I can't, but it makes me kind of like, oh. And I do also have, and this idea about what makes someone smart, right? So often animals their intelligence is tested against the kind of intelligence that humans need for survival, right? Not against, like, in this kind of environment, this kind of predator-prey status, what does intelligence look like for this species or this kind of animal, right? So this story is kind of maybe like a measuring sheep's intelligence according to humans' valuing of problem solving, but it's just hysterical. It made me laugh so much. Okay, now I'm reading this from Sheep by Phillip Armstrong. It's on page 47. So, in 2004, newspapers in the United Kingdom were enraptured by the story of sheep in the Yorkshire village of Marsden. These animals, on finding their habitual trot into the village to browse on flower beds, interrupted by the installation of cattle grids. Now, if you don't know what a cattle grid is, go look it up now, but basically they dig like a hole in the ground, and then they put basically a big grill over the top of it, big round or square metal poles with big gaps in them so that you can't really walk. It's hard for a cow to walk through it. Some of them learn. Anyway, so they installed these cattle grids to stop the sheep going into town and eating everyone's flowers. Right. But they figured out and then taught their flock mates how to commando roll across the grids on their backs. Can you imagine it? It's the most hysterical thing. Anyway, to save you a bit of time, or maybe not, I did then go and Google, I checked on YouTube. I didn't Google this yet, but I went to YouTube just to see about sheep navigating cattle grids, and there are some cute videos, some sheep who know how to walk through them. There's also another really funny one with a big truck and about sheep hijacking the truck to get across. Anyway, I'll leave you to go down that rabbit hole yourself. But if you do go Google searching, so I'm sure I'll forget, if you do go Google searching and you find any stories or the videos about these Marsden sheep, so that was 2004, Marsden in the UK, sheep commando rolling across cattle grids. If you do find anything like that, please put it in the comments, because I would love to see a video about this if there is one. Anyway, so I just thought that was a very funny story to share with you. And this one's not as exciting, but it's still pretty cool, is that sheep are probably the first domesticated livestock animal along with goats. It's about 9,000 years ago, but humans have been kind of hanging out with sheep, let's say, for at least 11,000 years. And we've only been hanging out with dogs longer than that. I don't know how long that is. It's 11,000 years. It's a really long time to be building worlds together. And I think that's one of the things I'm really excited about learning, is all the different ways in which our world has been shaped by sheep and how we've shaped theirs, and this kind of becoming together journey we've been on for such a long time. It's wild. Anyway, another thing, sheep grow wool, which of course I did know. But there are a few cool things about wool that I didn't know, and I'm going to learn more as well. I mean, we probably all know it's fire retardant. That's pretty cool. And it's naturally elastic, which I hadn't really thought about how important that is, right? But elastic means you can stretch something and it'll come back into shape. And things like cotton, they're not elastic. You can stretch it and it won't come back into shape. That's why, you know, with cotton t-shirts or something, after a while they kind of really stretch out of shape. They don't come back, even though they've got some kind of stretchy plastic, nylon or something in them. They eventually will stop, whereas wool will just last a lot longer. So it's a huge advantage over many natural fibres that aren't elastic. And I think I just don't even get how much elasticity is incredibly important in so many places or parts of our world as well, right, as a quality of a fibre. Anyway, so I'm kind of thinking a lot about elasticity at the moment. Now, wool can absorb, and I've heard this figure I'm going to give you, it's from one of these books, I believe it, can absorb up to 40% of its own weight, drawing water in from the air. Now, I've heard people say, 40% without feeling wet. That's pretty wild. I've heard people say 18. I've seen other places say 30. So let's assume it's somewhere in that 80 to 40 range, and it might depend on the actual fleece or the breed of fleece. Some might absorb more than others. So it's very water-loving. It's hydrophilic natural fibre. But what's even cooler is when it does this, it actually generates heat. So this is a process, it's called the heat absorption. So it's basically, there's a phase change that happens, right? So this is atmospheric water molecules, so they're gas form, they get pulled into the fleece, and the phase change where it gets turned into water, that generates heat. So it's partly why wool is not just insulating, but if you're getting wet in your sweater, it's going to make you warmer as well. So cool. Anyway, they're all the things that have been blowing my mind this week. And you might be thinking, there must be nothing that Liz can share about what she's been making this week, because that's a lot of reading. It is a lot of reading, and I have to say, I'm not getting as much making done as I'd like. And I think I'm just going to have to see where there might be some wiggle room in my life, or where I might be kind of frivolously wasting time that I could be making. But I have been doing a few things. So it's not hot today because I'm in Melbourne. And Melbourne, if you're not from here, I don't know, 4 seasons in one day, I guess, is the summary. But like, even in summer, you can't expect it to be summery. Like, it's cold. I had to have the electric blanket on last night to heat up my bed, and I'm wearing a sweater today and warm socks, and I'll probably be wearing that all day. And then I think come Monday it'll be in the 30s, 30 degrees Celsius plus again, so it'll be warm again. So it's just a bit up and down. But long story short, when it's really hot, I can't knit so well, right? Because your fingers get a little kind of sticky, and I don't have air conditioning here. So I don't get to knit as much, but I sew more when it's warm. So one thing, and I can't show you what it is because it's all in pieces now, but I can show you the material I'm making with it. I have been chipping away at the Studio Tunic by Sew Liberated in this very gorgeous, oh yeah, there we go, mustardy gold linen, and this is from Tessuti Fabrics in Melbourne. Really, really lovely people at that store. So I've been working away on that. Now, the tunic promises these really big pockets with lots of room for yarn and snacks, so I am really looking forward to finishing that and wearing it non-stop. I will show it on the channel when I finish it. Could be a while, but I would like to get it done in the next few weeks. So that's what I'm sewing. What am I spinning? I know it kind of smells good and kind of sometimes a bit much. I'm not sure if it was from anyway. This is one of the Rolags of a million Rolags I have still to go on a beautiful chocolate brown Corriedale fleece. This is from Renell's flock at Cloverleaf Corriedales, just outside of Melbourne. I'll put all these links, including the books and stuff. I'll put it all in the show notes. There's a little short bit to get rid of. Now I bought this fleece 5 months ago, and I'm still spinning it. Because, time, and I get distracted and get onto other things. I have already done, these are 2 cakes of yarn that I've made with it. I'm not sure how the light, it's really hard with these dark chocolates to show. But anyway, I think it's a bit of maybe it's a wonky DK. I'm not a very experienced spinner yet. But anyway, so I'm hoping to make a sweater with this. I'm not sure I'll have enough, but we'll see how we go. So that's what I've been working on the spinning, and I am doing that. I only have one spinning wheel. I've got a drop spindle and a support spindle, but I'm a little bit impatient for sweater spinning on those. So I'm using, this is the Ashford e-spinner, and I got an e-spinner because it's more, you can move it around. It's more, what's the word? Not mobile, but I can travel with it, right? So when I go to Iceland, I can take it with me. But I would really love to get a treadle spindle, because I just love the idea that the movement energy from my body goes into the movement energy that goes into the fibre. That just sounds really cool. So one day I'll get to that, but that's what I've got at the moment. So that's what I'm spinning. Oh, yeah, knitting. Bit hard to knit in really hot weather, but I was in an air-conditioned car for about 6 hours on the weekend, I think. It was a bit much. So I got to knit, and I finished off this sock. So this is, let me just show you, it's so lovely. It's obviously not a high contrast there with that colour work, but you can still see the kind of star pattern, and that's a little heart at the top. It's a bit of a blob. But the underneath, oh, look at these stripes. And then two on the gusset decreases. Look at how that goes. Oh, actually, see if I can get that. That's so cool. I love this. It's the second pair I've made of these. This is the Julie's Shorties by Martushka Makes, and I will put the link for that down below, in the, you know where. And this yarn is, it's dyed by Hand Yards, which is Julie Boyd, and she's a dyer in Victoria. And I just don't know the colourway. I couldn't see it on her website. I think it maybe was a little Christmas one. If you can see, it's these beautiful kind of more muted reds and greens with a little bit of kind of plummy purple in them. Anyway, lovely. So I finished off this one. This was the second sock. These are for my daughter. She knows, she's already seen them. Hi, if you're watching. And I pulled back the first sock from the toe box because I made it too short. I thought I tested it properly, but it was a little bit too short. So last night I pulled back the toe box, and now I've just got to knit it back again, but with extra length. So that's what I've been working on, knitting when it's not too hot. Now I think that's everything. Let me just check my notes if I had any more. No. So that's it. That is episode 1 of my woolly PhD. I hope that's been, you've loved some of those sheep facts as much as I have. And yes, if you have any other like wild sheep facts or wool facts even that just blow your brain, you're just like, oh my God, I love this. Put them in the comments. I am obviously really keen to learn everything I can about sheep and wool. Yes, and yeah, thanks for watching. I will be back next week. Okay, bye.